What's at stake here if the war does not stay contained to just Israel and Hamas?
You have a big potential powder keg of problems in there. There's what's called the axis of resistance, which is Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, of course, Hamas, and then a number of other Islamic jihadist groups that are scattered throughout the region. And the real risk is that there could be either a chain reaction of events or even some outright decisions made by some of these groups to engage in Israel if they launch into the Gaza Strip. And that's what many of them are saying, that that's their trigger, is if Israel moves in heavy numbers, then they're going to attack. Now, the United States is saying, and heavy diplomacy also back channeled to those actors, telling them, look, you need to stay out, because if you do, we're bringing in now a second aircraft carrier battle group. So there's quite a bit of firepower in there. So these threats are not empty. But it is absolutely in America's vital national interest that this not escalate, not even beyond Gaza Strip, not even into the West Bank. We need to keep this contained here.
So the U.S. is making efforts to minimize damage, but also being very open about their assistance to Israel's military. Could these kinds of decisions ultimately backfire?
There's a lot of potential for backfire here, and that's one of my big concerns. Anytime you have a situation like this where lots of emotions are involved and there's been a horrific terrorist attack, primarily targeted against civilians in some of the most brutal ways that some of them were killed, I mean, you're automatically going to get a lot of emotions in there and a desire for some significant retaliation. But Israel has to keep disciplined and patient and not take action which could actually backfire and harm itself. If they are seen as going in too heavy-handed and too many civilians get killed, in the Palestinian side especially, they could lose support, first of all, in the West, but then that could also prompt some of these other actors I just mentioned to actually take action as well against Israel. So their interest and indirectly our interest in the region are at stake here. And we have to be very, very careful in how we handle this.
Let's talk about that, Lieutenant Colonel, what this ground offensive is going to look like, because it raises the prospect for urban warfare.
Look, let me give you a little comparison here that many people in America remember. In 2004, we had one of the biggest ground battles in an urban area that we had in the entire Iraq War, and that was the Second Battle of Fallujah. And that took about 2 months of which to take care of. But what people don't know is that we took 3 full months to seal the place off, the city off, and then we conducted about 3 months of preparation and intelligence preparation of the battlefield. Those elements are absolutely vital to have a successful operation. If you don't even know for sure where the enemy is, you don't know what the landscape may look like, how they may have had booby traps, what traps they may have set. If you don't know any of those things, you could literally be walking into a big trap and get a lot of people killed and not even succeed. So it is vital that Israel not get so emotional and wanting to extract revenge immediately that they go in unprepared. And I don't know if they're going to succeed in doing that. I sure hope they do.
That being said, 2 million people have lived in Gaza. This could be incredibly complicated then. How long could this ground offensive take if they have to go door to door?
Second Battle of Fallujah lasted about 2 months and only had 3,000 fighters. This one, there's allegedly between 30 and 50,000 Hamas fighters. But anytime you're going into a situation like this, any male who has a gun could be considered a combatant. And if Israel starts being indiscriminate at who it kills, then they'll gain even more. So, yeah, the Gaza City is 650,000, and it could take many months to do. And, of course, the casualties and the bloodletting could just be horrific. And, again, that could undercut Israeli support and cause a lot of casualties on their reservists, who, by the way, have not had much training in this, and they didn't hardly have any training over the summer. So a lot of things are not in Israel's favor, and they need to be very cautious about how they operate here.